What would happen if a K-pop song quietly slipped into the American and European music ecosystem without a massive marketing push, without scandal-driven headlines, and without aggressive Western promotions? In an industry where visibility is often manufactured through controversy, this kind of rise feels almost unnatural. Yet that is exactly what happened when Rosé of Blackpink released her solo track APT. The song didn't arrive with noise. It didn't beg for attention. Instead, it spread silently, algorithm by algorithm, playlist by playlist, until people began noticing it everywhere at once. That silence became the loudest statement of all. Behind this sudden dominance lies a deeper tension within the K-pop industry. For years, idols have been trained to conquer global markets through rigid formulas, English hooks, viral challenges, and perfectly timed scandals. Rosé's case disrupts that system. APT didn't rely on shock value or fandom wars to survive. It relied on emotional weight, restraint, and an almost uncomfortable honesty. For some insiders, this success raises an unsettling question: is raw emotional authenticity now more powerful than the carefully engineered idol machine? As Rosé's voice reached listeners who had never touched K-pop before, the conversation shifted. She was no longer framed as just another member of a globally famous group, but as an artist capable of standing alone in the Western market. That shift carries pressure. In K-pop solo, success can quietly breed internal competition, redefine power dynamics, and expose cracks beneath polished group images. When one member breaks through a new ceiling, expectations rise, comparisons intensify, and the industry starts watching differently. This is where the story truly begins. Rosé's rise is not just about music charts. It's about the changing rules of fame, the hidden strain placed on idols navigating global validation, and the silent conflicts that emerge when one's success threatens to rewrite the system itself. If you want to understand what this moment really means for Blackpink, K-pop, and the global industry, make sure you stay with us, follow the channel, and keep watching as this story unfolds. As APT continued to circulate, the industry response became noticeably uneasy. Success without noise often creates more discomfort than success built on spectacle. Executives, critics, and fans alike began dissecting Rosé's rise, not to celebrate it, but to understand what it threatened. In K-pop, where timing control and narrative management are everything, an organic breakthrough can feel like a loss of authority. The question was no longer about how popular the song was, but about who truly controlled its momentum. Inside the system, solo achievements have always existed in a delicate balance with group identity. When one member gains disproportionate attention, it can quietly reshape internal hierarchies. Expectations shift, schedules tighten, and pressure multiplies. For Rosé, this moment placed her at the center of a silent tug-of-war between artistic freedom and institutional control. The industry applauded her success publicly, but behind closed doors, it forced uncomfortable recalculations about branding, future releases, and long-term positioning. At the same time, international audiences began reframing how they viewed K-pop idols. Rosé was not consumed as a trend, but as a voice carrying emotional weight. This distinction matters. Trend-based success fades quickly, but emotional attachment creates longevity. That kind of connection is powerful yet dangerous because it pulls an idol out of the safety net of collective identity and places them directly under global scrutiny. Every move becomes symbolic, every silence interpreted. As conversations grew louder, comparisons became inevitable. Other artists were measured against this quiet success, and the gap between manufactured virality and genuine resonance became harder to ignore. Rosé's rise exposed a growing fracture within the K-pop system itself, one where emotional credibility may soon outweigh rigid formulas. And while this tension simmers, another figure within Blackpink is about to ignite a completely different kind of storm. While Rosé's rise quietly challenged the industry from within, a very different kind of tension began forming around another Blackpink member. Unlike Rosé's slow-burning dominance, this moment arrived suddenly, visually, and with just enough ambiguity to ignite global speculation. A brief background image in a high-profile music session was all it took. No announcement, no confirmation, just a fleeting visual that felt too familiar to ignore. Within minutes, timelines exploded, screenshots multiplied, and one name dominated the conversation: Lisa. What made this moment so volatile was not what was shown, but what was left unsaid. In the modern entertainment industry, silence is rarely accidental. Fans quickly questioned whether this was coincidence or calculation. The possibility of a cross-genre collaboration triggered excitement, but also anxiety. In K-pop history, premature hype has often led to disappointment, backlash, and harsh reality checks. The fandom split instantly between belief and skepticism, fueling an internal conflict that spread faster than any official teaser could. This speculation also highlighted a deeper shift in Lisa's position within the global industry. She no longer needs a stage, a performance, or even a release to command attention. One ambiguous image was enough to dominate discourse across continents. That level of influence comes with power, but also pressure. Every move becomes narrative fuel, every appearance a potential headline. In this space, perception can be more powerful than truth. As fans debated authenticity, AI manipulation, and hidden messages, the industry watched closely. Because if this moment was intentional, it signals a new strategy where mystery replaces promotion. And if it wasn't, it reveals just how uncontrollable Lisa's global presence has become. Either way, the tension is no longer about whether something will happen, but about how long the silence can be sustained before it collapses into revelation. As the speculation surrounding Lisa continued to grow, the silence from all sides became heavier. No clarification from producers, no denial from agencies, and no subtle hint to calm the storm. In the entertainment industry, this kind of quiet is rarely neutral. It is a tool, and the longer it lasts, the more tension it creates. Fans dissected every frame, every gesture, trying to separate coincidence from intention, while media outlets amplified the mystery, turning uncertainty into a global narrative. This situation exposed a darker layer of the K-pop system. When an idol reaches a certain level of influence, their image no longer belongs solely to themselves. It becomes a battleground of expectations, projections, and strategic silence. For Lisa, the pressure is no longer just about performance or music quality, but about controlling perception in an era where speculation spreads faster than truth. One unclear moment is enough to spark weeks of debate, and that weight never fully disappears. At the same time, comparisons between Lisa and Rosé intensified quietly in the background. Two very different paths, two different kinds of power. One built through emotional resonance and artistic restraint, the other through global magnetism and mystery. This contrast reflects a larger conflict within K-pop itself. Should idols speak through vulnerability or dominate through spectacle and silence? The industry has not answered that question, but it is watching closely as both narratives unfold in real time. Behind the glamour, this constant observation creates invisible strain. Every pause is calculated, every absence questioned. The system demands constant relevance while offering no room for mistakes. And as anticipation reaches its peak, the line between strategic storytelling and emotional exhaustion grows thinner than ever. The final outcome of this tension may redefine not just individual careers, but the future rhythm of K-pop's global expansion. As the story reaches its most critical point, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. This is no longer just about Rosé or Lisa as individuals. What we are witnessing is a collision between two forces reshaping K-pop from the inside out. On one side stands emotional authenticity, slowly earning trust from a global audience that values sincerity over spectacle. On the other stands pure influence, where mystery, silence, and presence alone are enough to dominate headlines without explanation. Both paths are powerful, but neither is without consequence. For Rosé, success brings a different kind of burden. When an idol proves they can thrive without controversy, the pressure to repeat that purity becomes suffocating. Every future release is measured against an impossible standard of honesty. Any deviation risks accusations of selling out while staying too restrained, risks fading in an industry addicted to constant stimulation. The freedom she appears to gain comes paired with invisible limitations imposed by expectation. For Lisa, the tension cuts even deeper. Her silence fuels fascination, but it also strips her of control. The narrative writes itself regardless of intent. Fans argue, media speculates, and the industry benefits from the noise while offering no protection from the psychological weight that follows. At this level, an idol's presence becomes symbolic, and symbolism is rarely gentle. One unresolved image can redefine months of public perception. Together, these parallel stories expose the darker mechanics behind global K-pop success. Fame no longer arrives as a reward, but as a pressure test. Idols are no longer just performers, but vessels for projection, debate, and expectation across cultures. And once the world is watching, there is no pause button. Now, the question is not what will happen next, but how much these artists are expected to carry in silence. Will emotional authenticity survive in an industry driven by spectacle? Will mystery remain powerful or eventually collapse under its own weight?